When people look at improving their life, in many cases, people want to improve multiple areas. For instance, people want to enhance their career, whether that be through more study or pursuing a career at all. Example, if you're working at a warehouse and are looking at pursuing a useful university degree, that's an improvement. But that's not all. They may also want to improve their money. I'm going to stop that improve joke for now because it'll get annoying. So maybe they'll also look at picking up a second job, more hours at their current job, or even pursue some side hustles. So that's two things, improving your career and your finances/money. But also, people want to work on their fitness, which is probably the most common New Year's resolution. So that's a third thing. But these three things all on their own will take up a lot of your time and effort. Example, now that you have studied, since you're now trying to get into a career/improve your already existing career, you need to spend time hitting the books. There's only 168 hours in a week, and a good chunk of that is obviously spent sleeping, so the available hours are running low. So your study time obviously now can't be used for working. If you pick up more hours/a second job, there's more hours spent at work, which can't be used for study. If you're working on your fitness, that gym and meal prep time can't be used for study. And your study time can't be used for work or gym. But you can still improve these three areas at the same time. Gym doesn't take up 100 hours a week. You can always work more, but there gets to a point where the money is enough, or the extra money is not worth the extra hours. Example, I'm sure no one watching here works 100 hours a week, but I'm also sure most/all of us aren't working as low as 5 hours per week. There's a fine line and a balance somewhere. I mean, this job market is pretty trash, so maybe you're working 0 hours a week. But if you have a job, chances are you're not choosing to work as low as 5 hours a week. You are probably opting to work more hours than that. But obviously, if you want to improve your finances, you need to work more. The extra hours at work gobbles up any gym time. As for study, same concept applies. There gets to a point where any more study is not worth it, and only a couple hours a week also doesn't cut it. But any extra study time eats into work or fitness time. Those are three examples, but how many areas in your life can you really improve at once? There's only so much time, and you need to give at least a good amount of attention into one area to really improve it. 1 hour of gym, 1 hour of work, and 1 hour of study per week is simply nowhere near enough to improve those areas to a noticeable amount. So, how many areas in life can you really improve at once? Take a shot every time I say improve. You'll perish of alcohol poisoning before the video is over. Now, what I would roughly suggest off the top of my head is to maximize gym first, since that requires the least amount of time to improve drastically. Depending on your goals, workout intensity, etc., 6 to 8 hours in the gym per week, alongside the appropriate meal prep, is more than enough. I actually gym a bit less than that per week, but I'll talk about that later. For work, very subjective. How much money is worth an extra hour of your time? Would you work 10 hours a week? Unless you're studying something really difficult and time-intensive, chances are you're choosing to work more than that. But what about 90 hours a week? Now that's too much. Yes, that's fantastic coinage, but more than likely it's not worth the extra effort. So where is the fine line? That depends on your personal circumstances, and same goes with study. If you study 15 hours per week, is that enough? It can be for some subjects/careers, but for others, it won't cut it. But what about studying 70 hours a week? Is going from averaging an 82% to a 90% worth all that extra effort? Is giving up that gym and work time worth the extra grade? In my career, the study I did for the past 4 years, it does not require high marks. Employers and job postings will literally only ask, do you have this professional designation? Yes or no. They don't care that I only got a pass for every subject I finished, except for one, in which I got the next rank above a pass. So would me choosing to study an extra 20 hours per week instead of spending that time working another job have been worth it? The answer in my case is an obvious no. Higher grades were absolutely not worth giving up all that extra money I made. But maybe those grades would matter in your specific career path. But is it worth struggling financially in the meantime? $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. We all know M2 money supply keeps expanding, which devalues fiat currency. So the more money you earn now, the more valuable it is. Is it worth sacrificing more of those valuable dollars just for more grades? Will those higher grades really matter? That is a question only you can answer for yourself. For me, I had a mix. I studied to a point where I was able to eventually pass, but I didn't study too much to the point where it cost me valuable dollars in the current economy. So that was just my rough thoughts. Secure gym, then the rest is up to you. However, I've only talked about 3 areas of life so far. Can you improve more than just 3? Well, let's find that out by having a look at a week in my life. Let's see if it's possible for me, and by extension you, to enhance more than 3 areas of your life at once. Now, I know the week technically starts with Sunday, but let's be honest, no one actually runs off this calendar, so we'll start the week with Monday. Now, what people normally do with these types of videos is they film themselves doing work at their office, and they'll do some sort of time-lapse. Looks nice and cinematic, but we are on a low budget here, and also, you get the point, I'm at my desk doing my job. So what I have here is a report on one half of the screen, which has been blurred out to protect confidential information, and on the other side I have YouTube running. I have the soundtrack to Slippery Climb, the Crash Bandicoot level playing, as it's rather fitting for the weather at the time. You can tell it's bad weather outside, but it was also raining on top of this. And I was working with the lights off. I usually have them on, but not today. So I woke up at 6 a.m. and got to work at 7 a.m. I didn't get an image until after 8 a.m. as you can see from the Snapchat filter, because I was busy. Next image that shows my day, here I am at my desk still doing more work. It's lunchtime o'clock. Now you can see the 2 monitors here. One has Yu-Gi-Oh running. There's a constant stream going on a channel called Con TV that I will just tune into here and there. So I have that going on one monitor since the task I'm doing currently is rather monotonous and not very brain intensive, so it's easy to multitask. What I'm doing here is double checking some figures, since some reconciliation I'm doing doesn't add up, so I need to check that it reconciled properly the prior month. Not sure if you can see it, but there's a piece of paper on the right-hand side. That's me manually checking things off, since I find it quicker to scribble out numbers on paper when doing these types of reconciliations. And no, AI can't help here. It's not that simple. AI would need access to the figures in the reporting system we use, which you cannot connect to AI since 1, the system is older and outdated, and 2, it contains sensitive company information, which is silly to put through an AI chatbot. And if you spend time blurring out all of that information, it would literally take longer than just figuring out yourself. Even so, AI doesn't know what figures it's supposed to be looking for, since it doesn't do the reports for these things for this company every month. Yet another example of why AI won't replace accountants. It'll change our role, but no chance is it replacing us. You'll notice I have my lunch here too. I have lunch at my desk. My company has a half-hour unpaid lunch break, but sometimes I'll just work through lunch to get my work done. The task I'm doing here is a pain in the ass, so I'm just keen to get it done with. Also, it's still raining outside at this point, so no point having lunch outside. If you're a regular viewer of mine, you can see that this lunch is literally exactly the same as it's been for years, even as far back as my early 2022 Week in the Life type videos. And I was also having this lunch years before this channel even started. Reasons for this diet have been talked about in my 2 diet videos, but the red meat is now kangaroo meat as I'm on my cut, which is a switch I talked about in a recent video. Other than that, things are the same. Red meat, sweet potato, kiwi and dark chocolate. Same lunch every day. Okay, so far we've only seen me talk about the career stat, which is to be expected. It's the first half of a Monday. Of course, I'm at my career job. Each day, each week, each month, each year stacks work experience that can be used on a resume. I suppose you could also say I've improved the aesthetic stat too via my diet. No Uber Eats, no ducking out of the office to get lunch, and that indirectly helps with my money stat too, since I'm buying cheap groceries. Not spending $30 plus on my lunch. My lunch adds like an extra, $4 to $5 to the total grocery bill versus a $30 lunch that you get when you duck out of the office. But moving on, however, this particular Monday has a bit of a twist as I received this text. This is a text from my first tenant for my house. So basically at the time of writing this script, he was supposed to have moved in by now, but basically he had delays due to selling his old stuff on Facebook Marketplace. He had his own bed, his own TV, etc., but I am providing that for him in my house. I paid for TVs and beds in every single room in my house. The idea was to justify a higher rental charge, aka me paying for TVs and beds is an investment that'll pay itself off with like 4 to 5 months of rent. However, I'm just charging the same rent for this tenant as what he was paying at his old place, since I wanted to make the decision for him to move to my house a no-brainer. Pretty easy decision to move to a better quality house in a better location for the same price. So in hindsight, I could have saved money by not supplying these, but what can you do? So if I'm supplying bed and TV and other stuff, why would he keep his? He wouldn't. He gets a bit of extra money by selling it, and he's only been in the country for a few years, so he doesn't really own a lot of stuff besides his car. So he sent me this text saying, hey, sorry for the delay, I can move in next week. If you can't be there for my arrival, I'll rock up another day, yada yada. So this is either a money stat or investor stat improvement. I'm now going to be receiving an extra $200 a week in rent, which is a money stat increase, or my investment into a bigger house is starting to pay dividends. So this is an enhancement of another area of my life other than my career. Now, linking this part back to the topic of this video, improving more than 3 areas at once, finding this tenant involved work. It seems as simple as post on Facebook you have spare rooms, someone says, yeah, I'm keen, and they move in. The problem is you don't know what they're like. Yes, I have 3 spare bedrooms in my house, but I don't want some university students who will party until 3 a.m. every weeknight when I got to get sleep and get up early the next day for work. So this process involves vetting people. I also don't want some whinging white liberal chicks who are going to cry about me being a capitalist pig when I inevitably raise rent, or some dull-bludging druggo who's going to scratch my walls and break my furniture and just disrespect the place. So this is why this is a focus area. Vetting the right person takes time and effort. I could have found this tenant way sooner if I didn't have all the other areas in my life to juggle. But that's a part of the game of life. You can never focus 100% in one area if you have other areas to juggle. But at the very least, we have 1 tenant sorted, 2 to go. The next 2 will involve some work too, since again, I'm not after some party animal or some ungrateful person or a socialist. I'm after someone who's like a chill, docile homebody, like this guy. I know for a fact if he's not at work, he's going to be in his room, just like I would be. Perfect, my ideal tenant. Oh, look here, another text. This time it's from my second jobs app. Like there's an app related to my second job at the supermarket. This is from a manager at another store. I've been doing shifts across a couple of stores. Long story, but I much prefer to work at this store after my office job compared to my old one. So this manager is letting me know what shifts he has available for me so I can tell my main store not to put me on those nights. So this is juggling the money stat. It's not as simple as, hey, given these shifts, cool, okay, here they are. There's work involved in arranging hours at work. So I finish my workday at the office, and then it's time for work at my second job at a supermarket. The shifts I get at night vary. It's not ideal for constructing a consistent routine, but again, that's a part of juggling and improving other areas of life. The whole world doesn't revolve around you, and it doesn't revolve around me. We need to work around the schedule we're given. But on a regular week, I will work a Monday night, although this is not guaranteed. So I'll work 3.5 hours usually. Sometimes the shift gets a bit extended, but usually it's 3.5 hours. I get paid a rate of $26.97 per hour base, but it goes up to $33.71 per hour for any hours after 6 p.m., which is almost always the case when I start work. And this doesn't include my retirement fund benefits. Here in Australia, we get an extra 12% of our pay added into our retirement fund account, known as superannuation here. This 12% is actually taken away from our pay and added into an account we can't touch until retirement, but most Aussies don't actually know this. When calculating your pay, you really should include the 12% super payment, but most Aussies don't, which is why I mentioned the $33.71 per hour first, when in reality, it's actually $37.76 per hour when you include this retirement fund benefit. I've talked about this in several prior videos, but for any viewers not in Australia, if you're wondering why I get paid so much from a wagey supermarket job, it's because 1, we have a high minimum wage in Australia, and 2, our currency is weaker. Yes, Australia is a first world country for now, but convert 100 Aussie bucks into euros or US dollars or British pounds, and now it doesn't sound like that much. Also consider the cost of houses in Australia. Most houses, even in regional areas like where I live, are at least $700,000. My house is valued at about $733,000 at the moment, and the house 2 houses away from mine is currently selling for $760,000. Never mind the capital cities where houses easily exceed $1 million. And some houses in my estate are also well over $1 million. Higher minimum wage doesn't mean shit if it can't buy you much. So anyway, $37.76 per hour times 3.5 hours equals $132.16 for a shift. Not too bad for working at night. The shorter 3.5 hour shift still allows for an acceptable bedtime too. Obviously not as ideal as not working, but again, juggling areas in life, I sacrifice maybe 30 minutes of sleep for $132. I'll take that trade-off. And as long as I don't do it every night, this trade-off is great. I can make up for the sleep later, since generally your body will make up for this lack of sleep. It's why you have deeper dreams when you're really sleep deprived. So when I get home, I just get my food ready for tomorrow, my clothes ready for tomorrow. Example, if I have gym the next day, I put my gym clothes in the car. If I have another wagey shift the next day, I put my wagey uniform in the car. That kind of stuff. Then I'll usually chill out for 20-ish minutes before hitting the hay. Next day, Tuesday, usually this consists of work as usual, a gym session, and then home by the late afternoon/early evening to do basically whatever I want. You already know what the work situation is like, so let's skip ahead to the GYM. So like I mentioned with the whole people film themselves in the office and time-lapse it thing for a usual YouTube video, people will usually do the same with their gym workouts, but I didn't. I'm not doing that with my gym workouts, and the reason is the gym I go to is packed at basically every time of the day. Go at 11 a.m, uni students are there. Go at 2 p.m, all the night shift workers or unemployed people are there. Go at 4 p.m, high schoolers and tradies are there. Go at 6 p.m, office workers are there. Go at 9 p.m, those with demons are there. So there's no room to ever film myself without capturing at least 10 people in during each set, which involves mass editing, which I'm too time crunched to do. And even so, we're running a low budget studio here, but if you want to know what I do, my upper workouts are currently a chest press machine for 2 to 3 sets depending on the day, do them very close to failure, if not to failure, then 2 to 3 sets of a machine row, then 2 to 3 sets of a flat dumbbell press or a Smith machine incline press depending on the workout, then pull-ups/chin-ups depending on the day, then maybe I'll do some lat pull-down or a unilateral cable fly, depending on the day again. Then I'll do rope upright rows, a couple of drop sets, tricep pushdowns, bicep cable curls, and then end the workout with hanging leg or hanging knee raises. One workout I'll swap the arm cable stuff for lighter cable isolations like crucifix/Egyptian lateral raises/cable lateral raises, whatever you want to call it. Single arm cable tricep pushdowns, Bayesian curls. But there's nothing unique or special about my routine. Just train muscles in their intended movement pattern, train hard enough, do enough sets, done. The only real unique thing I do is the rope upright row, which I've mentioned in prior videos, but this was a pic I got. However, you can see someone else literally got in this pic. Even in the toilets, you can't get a moment alone. That's how crowded this gym is, so that's why there's no workout montage. Sorry. But you get the gist for the purpose of this video. While I'm at the gym, I'm improving/focusing on my aesthetic stat, my fitness, whatever you want to call it. Clearly, this workout time is not doing anything to improve my resume, the same way yesterday Monday morning I was doing nothing to stimulate my muscles. Now, we get home, have a shower, and now we have free time. No work, no more gym for the day, I can do what I want. So I will always cook myself dinner, which is 6 whole eggs, spinach and rice. If I have a wagey shift on the following day, I will cook another batch of eggs to eat whilst I'm at work, otherwise my diet gets ruined, and I cannot afford any more diet disruptions. Whilst I'm cooking dinner, I'll get food ready for the next day. So that's either putting a kiwi in my container, filling my protein shake with protein powder. I don't fill milk at home since I use milk from either of my jobs, saves me buying milk myself, getting my frozen meal prep and putting it in the fridge to thaw out, putting another block of chocolate in my bag, stuff like that. I get stuff ready the night before since you never know how you'll sleep. Maybe you'll end up forgetting something if you prepare in the morning. Whilst I'm doing this, I will listen to stock market/finance related news. I do this for 2 reasons. One, keeping up to date with news relating to stocks is important. Even if you're not a swing trader, if you're a long-term investor, the information can be useful. If you also have individual positions on certain stocks, if you don't keep up to date, you can miss a big news headline that can make a huge difference to the company you're invested in, such as a financial scandal, CEOs resigning, bad earnings reports, etc. And 2, I hunt for tidbits. The finance content creators will often have some good stocks in mind, and if you listen to many channels, since everyone has a different perspective, if 3 or more content creators talk about the same stock, then generally that stock is a good idea. Whilst I'm eating dinner, I'll do some work on my YouTube channel, or I'll surf TradingView/X for more stock market tidbits. Here I am eating my eggs. Food is packed away and no more food prep left for the night, so now it's time for stonks and YouTube stuff. So after dinner, I'll go for a walk through the neighborhood. Here's an image I took on my walk. As you can see, my neighborhood is still under construction. Once it's complete, it'll be nice as there'll be no giant-ass trucks driving around at 6:30 a.m, waking me up early. So here I am after my walk, just chilling in my room. I got the Yu-Gi-Oh stream going. It's either this or video game soundtracks. Instead of working on my YouTube channel, I'm sussing more stock stuff currently. I have made a new trading strategy as of late, and now I'm testing it out. It involves a lot more time and effort at the cost of my YouTube channel, but so be it. The YouTube channel isn't even generating that much of a return anyway. I am here looking at what companies are reporting earnings this week, which can make for good swing trading opportunities, and I'm also checking out a number of X accounts that appear to be rather good at stock trading, so I'm gathering ideas from them too, then cross-checking that with my own indicators. So this is probably the first time you've seen me doing something that's considered relaxing so far this week. Example, Monday, I was literally at work the entire day and night, except for maybe 20 minutes before bed. Even when I got home, I still had stuff to do like getting food ready, perhaps dishes, maybe putting away some washing, etc. But here I am watching some, I guess anime. Does Yu-Gi-Oh count as anime? But even so, it's honestly more so background noise whilst I suss stocks. Instead of watching Netflix, munching on snacks, I'm sticking to my diet and using my downtime productively. Will every stock I check result in a trade? No. Will every trade I make result in a profit? No. But I've already seen the fruits of my labor pay off. My portfolio is beating the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, and I've only recently gotten more of a handle on things, since in the past, I'd been busy with my studies or preparation for my new house. But every hour I spend surfing the markets is one extra hour more than those that aren't doing this. Every hour of work in one area gets you further ahead. And it's not as if this is some grueling hard study that I don't enjoy. I'm literally doing this whilst chilling out. It's not much different than scrolling on your phone whilst watching a movie. But instead of being on TikTok watching random shit, I'm on X looking at stonk stuff. Also, Tuesday is payday. I get paid per fortnight from the office and weekly from the supermarket. Now on this payslip I got paid normally from the office, $2,444.93 after taxes and retirement funding, and for my wagey job, $1,036.31 after taxes, retirement funding and a share purchase plan. I normally don't get paid this much, but in the week prior to making this video, I did a buttload of extra shifts. Well, I worked a bit more hours on some weeknights. Example, instead of a 3.5 hour shift, they gave me a 5-hour shift, and I did an additional 5 hours on another night, and then I covered a manager on one of my weekend days, so I got paid slightly more. Instead of working 9 hours on that Saturday, I did 10. So all those little bits and bobs added up. But on a normal week, I still get somewhere around 800-ish from the supermarket job. Now, last week was a good example of prioritizing money. I got barely any work done on my YouTube channel in the week prior, managed to stick to the gym routine at least, and did a decent amount on stonks, but the extra wagey shifts came at the cost of work on my YouTube channel. Totally worth it. It was absolutely exhausting. The extra few hours on a weeknight shift makes a huge difference to your energy levels, but making more than $1,000 after taxes in a single week from your part-time job, I'll take that for sure. Alright, it's Wednesday. 3 more days to Casa Bonita. Here's a quick snap after the shower with my flashlight from my second phone as my lighting. As you can see, the cut is going, okay. I've honestly been around the same body fat for at least 2 months now. That's what happens when you eat a lot of junk food when you celebrate moving into the suburbs. I'm only 5 minutes from fast food now, rather than the 30 minutes I was when I was at my parents' house. But you can see there's some decent cuts/shreds on my upper body. Shoulder is coming in nice, pecs look okay, slightly flabby, but that'll disappear when I'm down to 10 to 12% body fat. The main 4 abs are pretty visible, but there's a plop of fat around my waist, so when I'm lean, this will disappear and the V-taper will pop. And there'll be another layer of abs. So yeah, mini physique update here, but I've got a newfound drive to stick to this cut, and I've been pretty damn disciplined lately. Stay tuned for the shreds, coming soon. Here's another sort of physique check. This was actually taken on a different week, but you can see in this lighting how the 4 main abs are still quite visible. Pecs look good, but I got that plob layer around the waist. That'll turn into another layer of abs when I drop about 3 kilos. Okay, so Wednesday is literally just another office and supermarket day. Work all day at the office, only eat my pre-packed meals/foods from home, then go straight to my supermarket job at night for a few hours. Basically, Wednesday is like the same as Monday. It's like the same day as you saw earlier. But no gym on Wednesday since I'm at work the entire day, so Wednesday is more focusing on money versus the gym. I'm still improving my aesthetics/fitness by sticking to the diet, but I am not stimulating my muscles on this day. So here's a pallet. We basically just put the stuff on this pallet in the fridges. Simple work. But here is something that is not so simple. Look at all the free food here. Now most shifts don't have this. However, if you pig out all the free food the supermarket job gives you, you will absolutely ruin your calorie deficit. There's simply way too much free food they give. I have done this throughout all of 2025. I'd eat whatever foods they put out. Donuts, chocolates, muffins, cookies, whatever. It's free food after all. Paid $0 for it. Now granted, I have dropped from like 90 kilos to almost 80 kilos. I am down 10 kilos this year. However, I could have been shredded much earlier, like I would have been shredded by now easily, if I hadn't ruined calorie deficits in prior months due to this. My justification throughout the year was, well, they won't have free food next shift. However, now that I'm doing a lot more shifts, the chances of running into free snacks is very high. At least twice a week, I see lots of free food. So I need to cut it at the roots now. Despite having so much free food to choose from, I ate none of it. I do, however, have a couple of these instant noodles whenever I do a long enough shift. It's basically the same calories as a rice meal I have prepared at home, since when I'm at work, I don't get to eat the rice because I'm at work, I'm not at home. But Nothing more, only this cup of noodles. Otherwise, goodbye calorie deficit. So it's a bit trickier to stick to your diet when you do a second job that provides lots of free food, but you gotta stay locked in. Stay on target, don't lose your momentum. Thursday, basically a carbon copy of Wednesday, office and supermarket job, same diet, although usually I get a shift at a different store, although I hope this changes going forward to the point where I only get shifts at a closer store, but other than driving to a different store compared to the prior night, Thursday is literally the same as Wednesday. No gym, second job, focus on the money stat these days, not the aesthetic stat. Here I am, on a much sunnier day, once again doing some accounting shit and listening to some relaxing video games from my childhood. Nostalgia, we love it. How relaxing is the nighttime theme of the Pokemon League in Sinnoh? Okay, so Friday changes a bit, office as usual, but I tend to leave the office at around 2 p.m. since I do longer hours on other days, so I don't need to do as many on Friday, so I'll go to the gym after the office. However, from time to time, I get asked to work at the supermarket job on a Friday. Often I'm less keen to work these since I've already done 3 weeknight shifts. Fourth gives a nice money boost, but sometimes I just want to chillax a bit, so this is another form of passive income for me. It's not passive income, it's another form of income for me. Yes, I'm obviously already working at the supermarket job, but picking up extra shifts is an easy way to get extra income. Sometimes I'll just wagey max 1 week and legit do like 6 shifts at the wagey job and not do much with stocks and YouTube. I get more than $1,000 from that week alone for my second job. Pretty nifty. So as mentioned, Friday is usually a gym day. Like I mentioned for Tuesday, can't even get a second alone. Once again, someone walks into the toilets when I'm trying to snap some pics, but I managed to get a sneaky bicep flex in. Well, here we are, Friday night. The week prior, I was working at my supermarket job, but this night I wasn't, so here I am digging. Yep, what a fun Friday night. I need to dig out my front yard for landscaping purposes, since I need the ground to be lowered so I can level it, add the base and weed mat and stuff, and then the pebbles and potential plants on top. If I don't dig down, the pebbles just overflow onto the nature strip. Here's what my landscaping will look like in due time. At least that's the rough aim. Obviously, it can change. Also, check out the sky. I asked AI to add in the sunset in the Crash Bandicoot 1 boss battle with Dr. Neo Cortex, since I've always found that to be the coolest background I've ever seen. Better than Aurora Borealis in my opinion. But yeah, this is what my front yard might look like eventually. And here is a spare king mattress I have. I got it for free off some Facebook Marketplace deals, but I thought it was a queen initially, which is just too large for the bedrooms in my house, besides my room, but I already have a queen bed. I'm trying to sell it, but no one has bitten yet. I think I'll need to lower the price. I had bought a bunch of stuff, including gaming consoles from Facebook Marketplace, but I don't know, I think I may have a harder time to sell them than I initially thought. This flipping items side hustle idea isn't quite panning out. So far, anyway. Yay, the weekend! Oh wait, I have another job. So Saturdays I work 9 hours at my supermarket gig. I'm either stacking fridges or shopping for people with their online orders. At the heart of it, it's pretty simple stuff. But it just gets stressful since there's like expected times that things should be done, which are mostly reasonable, but all it takes is a couple disruptions, a few missing items on the shelves, or for the staff the night prior to have done a shit job, and now it becomes an enormous problem in the morning. But one task I'll do, if I'm acting as the manager for the department for the day, is checking stock that has a short use-by date, and reducing them if they do. This task is more complex than what I described, but it takes like 90 to 120 minutes, which is good because it burns off a lot of time in the later part of your shift. We love milking the clock at work, don't we? So after work, I'll go to the gym. Every Saturday night, I always go to the gym. We love our gym snaps, don't we? Didn't get one at my gym since it's even busier on a Saturday night, which is interesting. A lot of dedicated people, or maybe they're getting a pump before the clubs, who knows. But here's a post-workout pic in my ensuite bathroom. You can see the broader shoulders on display here. So what do most people do on a Saturday night? Depending on their age, chances are they're either out party-hardying or chilling at home with TV shows, video games, etc. What about gamification? What's he doing on a Saturday night? He's doing meal prep and washing. How fun. Now, I don't have to do washing or meal prep on these nights, but I can't meal prep on a night where I'm at my supermarket job, and I'm not staying up until midnight after a night shift doing meal prep or washing. It's just convenient on a Saturday night to do washing since I know I'll be home. Because like if I have a social event, it'll usually be a Friday night. Like if I hang out with friends, it's usually a Friday night because a lot of them will do something else on a Saturday. And then obviously with Friday, I could be at my wagey job. Whereas Saturday night, I can't be at my wagey job because I was just there all day. And meal prep is convenient since I've done my shopping on this day, since I was just at the supermarket. You know, I was just there working earlier that day. So it's just more convenient for me to do it on a Saturday night, which is fine with me. It's actually a nice way to spend the Saturday night, to be honest. getting about 1.5 weeks of red meat meal prep done and the weekly washing done in one night. Nice. Alright, so here's some pics taken when I went for my classic walk after dinner. Some nice looking clouds. Nice view. Now here I am in the lounge after work recording my voiceover for the next YouTube video. Script is all done, so next step is to record the voiceover. This will be one of the last times I ever record in my lounge or kitchen, whatever, since my new tenant will be moving in soon. So he'll be able to hear me if I record from this room. He won't hear much, it'll be faint. He can obviously walk to the toilet / get dinner / leave the house, etc. And obviously I keep this YouTube channel private from anyone in my personal life. So my tenant is also added to that list of people who will not find out about my channel. I'll do my recordings in my room. Now here are my clothes still drying out, obviously. They only got washed recently. You can see the 9:45 PM o'clock Snapchat filter. Here I am at home at almost 10 PM on Saturday night. The life of a single 29-year-old male. Not at any parties, not with my missus because there is none, just doing my own stuff. So from here on out, I'll just work on a bit more YouTube stuff with background videos / video game tunes because the stock market's shut, can't do much, so I basically have no choice but to do YouTube stuff. Then I'll head to bed early-ish. However, I allow myself to start winding down for bed at 11:20 PM max, since after the day I've had, coupled with my sleep gummies, 10 minutes is all I need to get to sleep. Any later is a bit much, like I don't want to be going to bed at like 12:30 in the morning. Usually it'll only be that late if I really grind on the YouTube stuff, but if I'm not too focused on the YouTube grind, like I normally am, I'll just sleep somewhere around 10:30 to 11 PM. Okay, Sunday, the only day of the week where I don't start work early. Sounds good, I get to sleep in, right? Well, nope. My body clock always wakes me up early. Rather annoying, but at the very least I have time for a nap before work since I start so much later today. This image was taken from my toilet. I'm taking a big shit at the time of this image. You can see 6:41 AM. I can see my TV from my toilet, which is cool, I suppose. As per usual lately, I just have Yu-Gi-Oh stream going. Nothing to watch in terms of stocks since the stock market is shut, so may as well just chuck on a Yu-Gi-Oh stream. Here we are, the Gym, nice and early, and it's surprisingly busy seeing as though it's dedicated hours o'clock right now. Still way quieter than usual, but there'd be like easily more than 30 people here at this time, which is about 29 more than I was expecting. Here's one flex I managed to get in, since it's a bit more quiet. Not the most aesthetic pose, but it at least shows the broad shoulders / traps. Biceps and triceps not looking very big though. Okay, we're back home from the Gym, I have breakfast cooking, and I'm starting my new script for my next video. Sometimes this will be me editing the video, editing the voiceover, etc. Just anything involved with YouTube. It doesn't have to be script writing on a Sunday morning. Alright, another walk after breakfast. Talked about the importance of walks in a prior week in the life video, but walking benefits aside, it's a nice way to burn extra calories. Since we're on the cut, the calorie burn is required. Decent weather, which is always nice, and I snapped a pic of my house when I left for a walk. Still surreal how I managed to get this, not taking it for granted one bit. Alright, here's what I do until I get ready for work. More work on YouTube. I will edit the voiceover for the last night's recording another time. On this day, I just felt like starting a new script and getting my ideas onto a Word doc before I forgot them. At some point, I may take a nap though, since as mentioned before, I didn't sleep as much as I wanted, or should have, which tends to happen every Saturday night to be honest. Annoying, not gonna lie. Okay, from here on out, my day just involves wagey work. What I do will depend on the shift, but usually I can expect to do other people's groceries and stack fridges. Sundays are okay. The first few hours it's hectic because it's busy, but as the night goes on, the shift gets easier since the managers slowly leave and then there's no one to tell me off for having headphones in. Even then I sneak them in my ear. You can't tell since these ones are black and they wrap around the top of your ear, and my hair is black and covers my ears. I work until 10 PM. Well, that's a lie. I work until 9:55 PM, then head home. Once I'm home, I'll get my stuff ready for the next day, work clothes, food, whatever else, then head to bed ASAP, since I'm up at 6 AM. If I was to get a full 8 hours sleep, I need to have been asleep at the time I was leaving work. So every minute I'm not asleep is important. But the good thing is, your body will catch up on sleep debt if you allow it. I couldn't do this semi-broken sleep at night all the time, but once or twice a week is fine. I don't have any hours I can get in an early shift anyway. I'd rather the few $100 I get for this Sunday shift versus sleeping an extra 1.5 hours one night. I can easily make up for that later. Alright, so that's a week in my life. What did I achieve? I achieved 5 more days of experience in accounting. Negligible, but these add up to months, which adds up to years, and this is what helps your career overall, especially when jobs want you to have years of experience. I earned $1,103.66 from my part-time supermarket gig. Not bad, hey? Better than what you get from most other side hustles. Yeah, it chewed up about 28 hours of my time, more like 33 to 34 if you count driving, which I do, but that time was going to pass regardless, and not like I was doing anything better with that time. I gymmed 4 times, which is what I want, although often I can only get in 3 gym sessions. I also stuck to the diet pretty nicely. Although I didn't pig out at wagey job, I'll often have something smaller, which still adds up to like 300 calories, but I'd likely burn that off during the shift anyway, so we end up net the same. Made some good progress relating to stonks. Every time I surf X for stonk tips, there's always the chance I find another good account with juicy tidbits. Not to mention the general practice in the markets and refining the indicators. House made progress too with a tenant, 1 down, 2 to go, and got housework done on the Friday night too. Still a lot to do, honestly. With 5 whole solid days of work, we could probably get it all done, but it's just hard to organize that time, so we've got to just chip away at it. A couple hours a week, and we'll get there eventually. And we also made some progress towards the next video. Sub count didn't grow, it stayed stagnant for the last 20 videos, which is a major what the fuck bro moment, but at least we got closer to the next video being completed. So that's roughly what's involved in one of my standard weeks. You can see no social events. Obviously, if I have one, that'll be a part of the week, and I won't do something like surfing charts or digging holes or an extra wages shift. And also, no dating stuff. I have more to say on that in another video. Now, how many of my areas did I manage to focus on at once this week? Depending on your definition of focus, it could be 6. My career, my money, my fitness, my investments, my house, and my YouTube channel were all improved during this week, that's for sure. But how much focus did each area get? Do you consider a 4-day gym week a focus? Some do 6. They'd consider 6 a focus. I didn't get a whole YouTube video completed in this week. Was my YouTube channel in focus? I did make progress towards the next video, but no video was fully created this week. I only dug holes for about an hour and a half this week. How can my house be in focus if I only spent less than 100 minutes on it? Yes, I have the tenant situation sorted and pending, but not much progress on the actual house was made. What about money? Yes, I worked 3 nights at the wagey job, but I can get away with a 4th. You spent Friday night digging and doing YouTube/stonk stuff instead of being at the wagey job. Was your money really in focus if you turned down this easy money shift? I did a lot of sussing on stonks, and this ate into my YouTube time. I basically sacrificed YouTube time for stonks time. Which area was in focus? Do you even consider this stonks thing a focus when 3 of the weeknights I didn't spend much time sussing it since I was at my second job? As you can see, every time I spend time on one area, it takes away from others. Also notice how you didn't see any study here? Well, I'm done with my studies, but if you had study, you'd need to slot that in somewhere. However, when I was studying, I wouldn't work weeknights at the wagey job, and I wouldn't suss stocks this much. So replace those times with study, and you basically have my schedule when I was doing study. Well, I wasn't studying that much. Sprinkle that in with some YouTube time, but obviously the more time I spend on other areas, the more it detracts from the rest of my life. Now, what I was going to do was talk more on this whole balance thing, but I'll save that for another video since this one is long enough as it is. So what do you think? Can you really focus on more than 3 areas in life at once? What is your definition of focus in terms of areas in life? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. That is all.